The pre-dawn darkness of the Tanzanian wilderness held its breath as Sarah Wilson's satellite phone shattered the silence. At 45, her weathered hands had pulled countless creatures from the brink of death, but nothing could have prepared her for the call that would change everything she thought she knew about the animal kingdom. "Sarah, it's Thompson at the northern checkpoint," came the desperate voice. "We intercepted poachers crossing the border. They had lion cubs. The mother didn't survive." Sarah's heart clenched as she gripped the phone. Another casualty in the endless war against those who saw magnificent creatures as nothing more than profit margins. "How many?" she asked, already calculating the resources needed. "2 cubs, maybe 3 weeks old. They're refusing all food. The vet thinks they won't make it through the night." Within an hour, Sarah stood in her sanctuary's clinic, gazing down at 2 tiny bundles of golden fur. The female bore a distinctive dark patch around her right eye, while the male's ears were tipped with unusual darkness. Their pitiful cries echoed through the morning air as they trembled with fear and hunger, having lost the only mother they'd ever known to human greed. For 3 agonizing days, Sarah and her team tried everything. Bottle feeding was met with violent rejection. Syringe feeding caused such distress that the male cubs suffered seizures. They huddled together in their heated enclosure, 2 fading spots of light growing dimmer with each passing hour. On the 4th morning, as Sarah sat in her office surrounded by reports she couldn't focus on, her eyes drifted to the outdoor enclosure visible through her window. There, stretched across a wooden platform, lay Zara, a female leopard who had called the sanctuary home for 2 years after poachers' snares had crippled her left rear leg, making her release impossible. Recently, Zara had begun exhibiting strange behaviors. She carried a piece of wood around her enclosure, grooming it protectively, responding to it as if it were alive. The sanctuary's veterinarian had confirmed what Sarah suspected. Zara was experiencing a false pregnancy, her body convinced it was caring for cubs that didn't exist. As Sarah watched Zara tenderly licking her makeshift cub, an impossible idea took shape. In the wild, leopards and lions were mortal enemies. Leopards regularly lost kills to lion prides and were sometimes killed in the process. But these weren't wild circumstances, and Zara's maternal instincts were in overdrive. The idea was beyond dangerous, it was potentially fatal. Yet conventional methods had failed, and the cubs were dying. What did they have to lose? Sarah prepared a neutral meeting space, installing cameras to monitor every angle and emergency equipment in case disaster struck. Her heart hammered as she carefully lifted the female cub, wrapping her in a soft blanket.
When Zara was brought into the room, she paced nervously, clearly uncomfortable in the unfamiliar space. Then Sarah entered with the tiny lion cub, and everything changed. Zara froze, her entire body tensing as she caught the scent. Sarah held her breath, ready to retreat at the first sign of aggression. The leopard's nostrils flared, her ears flattened, warning signs that made Sarah's pulse race. After what felt like an eternity, Zara's posture softened. She approached cautiously, her steps measured, tail low, but not threatening. As she drew closer, she stretched her neck forward, whiskers twitching as she sniffed the small bundle in Sarah's hands. What happened next defied every law of nature Sarah knew. Zara made a soft huffing sound, the same vocalization leopard mothers use with their cubs. She began gently licking the top of the lion cub's head, her rough tongue delicately grooming the tiny creature. The lion cub, who had rejected all human attempts at care, went still under Zara's ministrations. When Sarah slowly placed her on a soft blanket, Zara immediately curled around the tiny lion, continuing to groom her as if she were her own. The miracle repeated when Sarah returned with the male cub. Zara gathered both lion cubs into her spotted fur, accepting them completely. That night, Sarah watched through monitoring screens as something impossible unfolded. A female leopard tenderly caring for 2 lion cubs who nursed and found comfort in their adoptive mother's warmth. The cubs, now named Leo and Leona, began to thrive. Week by week, they grew stronger under Zara's devoted care. She taught them to hunt, to read the wind, to move silently through grass, adapting her solitary leopard techniques to suit their lion instincts. As months passed, experts worldwide warned Sarah that nature would eventually prevail. Once the cubs reached maturity, they insisted, territorial and hunting instincts would overcome any childhood bonds. The test came when Leo and Leona were nearly full-grown.
a wild male leopard breached the sanctuary's damaged fence, viewing Zara as an intruder in his territory. As he launched himself toward her, ready to kill, Leo intercepted the attack with a roar that shook the sanctuary. Both young lions flanked their adoptive mother, protecting her with fierce determination. The intruder, faced with two powerful lions defending a leopard, retreated into the wilderness. But what moved Zara most wasn't their protective instincts. It was what happened afterward. Instead of asserting dominance over the smaller Zara, Leo and Leona returned to her side, licking her face and rubbing against her with pure affection.
Years later, this extraordinary family continues to defy every scientific prediction. Leo, now a magnificent 440-pound male with a full mane, and Leona, a powerful lioness, still seek comfort from their spotted mother. They've created their own unique language of communication, combining leopard patience with lion strength in their hunts. Zara, Leo, and Leona have rewritten the rules of what's possible in the animal kingdom. Their story proves that love and nurture can triumph over millions of years of genetic programming, that bonds forged in compassion can overcome any barrier, even those nature itself creates. In a world often divided by differences, these three magnificent creatures remind us that family isn't always about blood or species. Sometimes it's about the heart that chooses to love unconditionally, even when everything says it's impossible. Their incredible journey continues to inspire millions, showing that when love meets instinct, love can win. If you were moved by this remarkable story of triumph over nature's boundaries, hit that like button and subscribe for more amazing tales of wildlife that will restore your faith in the power of love.